70,000 years ago, something happened that almost ended the human story before it even began. A supervolcano called Toba, in what is now Indonesia, erupted with a force roughly 3,000 times more powerful than Mount St. Helens. The ash cloud blocked the sun for years. Global temperatures dropped by up to 15 degrees. Plants died. Animals died. Everything died. And the entire human population on Earth, every single one of us, collapsed to somewhere between 1 and 10,000 people. 1 to 10,000. That's not a city. That's not a village. That's roughly the number of people who might be in your local shopping center on a Tuesday afternoon. We almost didn't make it. And the reason that matters, the reason you should care right now, today, is that everything that happened to those survivors got written permanently into your DNA. Into you. Into the way you think, fear, trust, and feel. I'm Sqwizy. And this is the story of your near extinction and what it turned you into. Here's the thing about almost going extinct, it leaves a mark. When a species loses almost all its members and then rebuilds from a tiny handful of survivors, geneticists call it a bottleneck event. And the Toba catastrophe created one of the most extreme bottlenecks in the history of any large mammal on Earth. Every human alive today, all 8 billion of us, descends from that tiny group of survivors. Which means we are all extraordinarily closely related, genetically speaking. Humans have less genetic diversity than a single family of chimpanzees living in one forest in Central Africa. But here's where it gets really interesting. When you go through something that catastrophic, when every single person in your group nearly dies from the cold and the dark and the starvation, the ones who survive aren't random. They're the ones whose psychology was wired for exactly those conditions. The paranoid ones. The ones who distrusted strangers. The ones who panicked at scarcity. The ones who stayed closest to their group and would do anything to remain inside it. Those are the people who made it through. Those are your ancestors. And their survival instincts? Still running. In you. Right now. After Toba, the surviving groups of humans were scattered across a devastated, resource-starved world. Food was almost gone. Every other group of humans you encountered was potentially a competitor for what little remained. In that world, trusting a stranger wasn't open-mindedness. It was a death wish. Your brain evolved an incredibly fast threat detection system specifically for unfamiliar human faces. Studies show that within milliseconds, before you've consciously processed anything, your amygdala has already fired a low-level alarm for an unfamiliar face. Not an animal. Not a falling tree. A human face you don't recognize. This is why tribalism is so automatic and so powerful. It's not stupidity or small-mindedness. It's a survival program older than language itself. Why do people instinctively distrust outgroups? Toba. Why does a crowd of strangers feel vaguely threatening even when nothing is happening? Toba. Why do humans everywhere, in every culture, automatically sort people into us and them within seconds of meeting? Toba. The catastrophe that nearly killed us all also made us deeply, fundamentally suspicious of each other. And that suspicion has followed us all the way here. Now let's talk about the one that hits closest to home. During the Toba winter, resources didn't just get scarce. They almost vanished completely. For years. Maybe a decade. The survivors who made it through were the ones whose brains treated every available resource, every berry, every piece of wood, every dry cave, as something to acquire immediately and never let go of. Hesitate? Die. Hoard. Survive. That psychology is still in you. Watch what happens when a supermarket puts a sign on a shelf saying, "Limit 2 per customer." Sales of that item triple. Not because people suddenly need 3 times as much pasta. Because your ancient scarcity brain sees a limit and screams, "Get it now before it's gone." This is why sales work. Why? Only 3 left in stock. Makes you panic click. Why running low on something you barely use makes you anxious. Your brain is not responding to your actual pantry in a modern city with shops on every corner. It's responding to a volcanic winter 70,000 years ago when there was almost nothing left. Every time you've ever panic bought something you didn't really need, that was Toba. Here's the one that surprised me the most when I first learned about it. Loneliness actually hurts. Not metaphorically. Neurologically. Brain scans show that social exclusion activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Being left out registers in your brain in almost exactly the same way as breaking your arm. Why would evolution wire it that way? Because after Toba, being separated from your group wasn't sad. It was fatal. You couldn't survive alone in a post-apocalyptic volcanic winter. No single human could hunt enough, stay warm enough, defend themselves enough. You needed your group the way you need oxygen. So your brain evolved to treat separation from your people as a physical emergency. A pain signal strong enough that you can't ignore it. A biological alarm that screams, "Get back. Find them. Don't be alone." That's why loneliness is one of the most reliably damaging things to human health. Chronic loneliness raises cortisol, disrupts sleep, weakens the immune system, the same physiological responses as chronic physical pain or long-term stress. Your body isn't being dramatic. It genuinely believes you are in mortal danger when you are alone for too long. Because for most of human history you were. So here's where we land. You are descended from the most improbable survivors in the history of complex life on this planet. A handful of people who stared down a decade-long volcanic winter, a near-total collapse of the food chain, and temperatures that should have finished us off completely. They didn't give up. They stayed together. They hoarded. They distrusted strangers. They felt pain at the thought of separation. They did whatever it took. And those traits, the paranoia, the tribalism, the scarcity panic, the desperate need for belonging, they are not flaws. They are the proof that your ancestors won the most impossible game of survival ever played. The problem is just that the game ended. The winter is over. We're not in the ash anymore. But your brain didn't get the memo. It's still playing that game. In every meeting, every shopping trip, every moment of loneliness at 2 a.m. You are not broken. You are a 70,000-year-old miracle running in a world it was never designed for. I'm Sqwizy. Next week we go even deeper. Subscribe if you want to understand yourself. Your ancient survival brain will thank you for it.